Hey everyone, this is the second video in our Next.js series. Today we're going to start using the Material UI React component library in our project. But first, let's do a quick recap of what we did last time. So last time we created our Material UI project and we built these three simple pages. So we have this Hello World page, we have a notes page, and each time you click on one of these notes, it brings you to another page that has the heading of the note. So the first thing we're going to do today is we're going to make our Hello World page the same as our notes page because we no longer need this Hello World page. So to do that, we're going to import this notes component from our index.js file here, and we're going to be able to use that. So we're going to say import note from notes index. And now, instead of returning this h1 tag, we're just going to return the note. So if we save that, this should reload for us. And now we have the notes page here and also here. So we have the same page in both of those places. And again, if we click here, it's going to bring us to the right place. So now we're ready to start with Material UI. So over on the Material UI website, we can see what it is. It's a React component library, and we can see these installation steps. So the only thing we need to do is copy this command to install Material UI, and we're going to stop our server really quickly and install that. So now that that's installed, there's one more thing we need to do. So Material UI uses something called JSS behind the scenes. And this is a CSS and JavaScript library. And because it's using this, we need to extend two files called _app.js and _document.js. But luckily, this isn't too difficult because Next.js provides a guide on how to do this. If we go to GitHub Next.js, and I'll make this a bit bigger so you can see. If we go into the examples directory and search for Material UI, and we go into this example, and this is going to send us over here, we can see in their pages directory, they have these two files called _app.js and _document.js. So we're going to want to copy these two files into our project. So inside our pages directory, we're going to create a new file called _document.js. And in this file, we're just going to paste the contents of what they had. So we're going to copy this whole contents and paste it in. And we're going to do the same thing for _app.js. So we're going to create a new file and name it _app.js. And again, we're going to copy the content and paste that in. So both of these files are referencing a theme that is in the source code here, but we don't want to use the same theme. We're just going to create something super simple. So we're going to create another directory outside pages, so in the root of our project, and we're going to call this source, and inside this we're going to create a new file called theme.js. Inside this we're going to create a super simple Material UI theme that we can extend later if we want. So we're going to import create MUI theme from Material UI core styles. And then to create our theme, we're just going to say const theme equals create MUI theme. And we need to pass in just an empty object to that function. And then we're just going to export it. So this has created an empty theme for us. And now inside app.js and document.js, this reference should be okay. So we have the same directory called source, and inside that we have theme. So that should all be okay. So now we can check if Material UI is working for us. So right now we're not using any Material UI and our server is actually stopped, so we can start that again using npm run dev, and this should take a few seconds to start up. So now if we refresh our browser, we should see our app again. And it actually looks slightly different already, so we can see Material UI is doing something. So now it's gave us some default style, so that is really cool. But we want to use some Material UI components. So the first thing we want to do is we want to change this heading to be a typography heading. So to do that, on the Material UI website, we can go into components and we're going to search for typography. And we can see that they give us a bunch of cool headings here, and we make this a little bit bigger. If we click on this, show the source, we can see how they're doing that. So you can see they're importing typography from Material UI. So we want that. And then they're just using a typography tag with different variants to show different headings or different typographies. So we can close our document.js and app.js file now because we don't need them anymore. And we can also close theme. So we want to add this heading first of all in our note.js file, or our index.js file, which is just at the path of the root and also at notes. So to do that, in the example, we need to import typography. So we can do that. And then we just need to use this tag. So we're going to replace this h1 tag with a typography tag and close it with the same as well. And we need to add a variant prop. And the variant is just going to be h4. If we refresh, we did something wrong, so we misspelled variant. It has an A. This is why we should really copy paste. So now we can see we have this h4 heading. We might make it a bit bigger, so we'll use h2. So now we have this bigger heading. So the next thing we might want to do is, instead of just showing these inside a tag, we might want to show these in a table. It might be a better way to display our notes. So if we go back to Material UI, we can search here for table, and we can see how they do that. So we have this sample table, and this is exactly what we need. So if we open this up, we can see how they're creating this table. So we have these different tags to create this table. So first of all, we're going to import a bunch of the things we need. So we're going to import table, table body, table cell, table head, table row. We're going to copy all this, and we're going to paste it in here. And there's a bunch of stuff here that we don't need. We're going to try for the simplest solution. So we're just going to try to use some of these tags and create a table here. So I guess the first thing we should do is see what are we doing now and what do we need to change. So first of all, we have this typography tag, so that's okay. We're showing our heading, and then we're mapping through the notes and returning a link for each note. So before we map through the notes outside, we're going to need our table container and our table. So we can do that. We've already imported all of these up above, so we can use table, and then outside we want to close, or we can use table container, and outside we want to close that, and then inside the table container we want a table, and then outside again we want to close that. So next, we don't actually need a table head because we're not going to have any headings. We can just use a table body. So we're going to use this tag, table body, and again it's going to be closed outside. And now in their example, they're mapping through their data. So we're ready to map through our data as well. We are already mapping through the notes. So now instead of returning a link, we want to return a table row as they're doing. So let's copy this tag, table row, and it needs to be inside the map actually. So the first thing we're returning is going to be the table row, and now we're going to work inside here. So inside the table row, we're going to need a cell. So in their example, they have these different cells. We're going to have something similar. We're going to have on the left just the name of the note like we have here, and on the right we're going to have a delete button. And in the next video we're going to work with our API to be able to create notes and delete notes, because right now they're just hard-coded here. So we're going to start working with an API to be able to interact with those resources. So that means that we need two different cells. So we're going to create two table cells. And the first table cell is going to contain the note dot name like we did before, but it's not just going to be the name actually. I guess we need to have the same link as we had before because we want to be able to link to the note. So instead of just using the name, let's do this. Fix our indentation. So now the first cell has a link to that note. And we need a second cell, but let's just leave it empty for now. And now we're ready to delete what we had before, what we were using before, because we don't need that anymore. So if we save this, hopefully everything worked okay. This should reload for us. And now we can see we have this table, which already looks a bit better than it did before. On the left, we have these links to the notes, and they all work. So we can go into each one, and it'll bring us there. So now we want to create a button in the next cell. So we have this empty table cell. We just need to import a button. So if we copy this and import button from core button, and I guess we should look at the documentation to see how they actually do this. So we can see they have these buttons and they are importing them. So import button, yeah, and we can use the default button. So let's just copy this, and inside our code, inside the second table cell, we're going to paste this button, and we're just going to have delete. If we go back to our page, now in the second cell we have this delete button. We can also see that we can pass it a color based on our theme, so we can do that. I think color secondary is going to be red, so that's good for a delete button. And if we save, our button should be red now. Cool. So in this video, we added Material UI to our Next.js project, so we're able to start using Material UI components inside our Next.js project. And we can actually see, if we go into the developer console, whenever we are retrieving the HTML pages, we can see, if we find notes, that it's actually returning the page with the CSS and everything included. So this is all happening on the server side as well. So this is going to improve the performance at the client side, because the client side doesn't need to load all of the Material UI JavaScript and everything. It just adds the CSS to the header tag of the HTML, and our page knows what to do with that. So that is really cool. So in the next video, we're going to create an API to be able to interact with these notes, to be able to create new ones and to be able to delete them. So hope to see you then, and thanks for watching.